Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage. So today we're going to be looking at Xbox Showcase. But first, here on the channel we take a look at games, we talk about the industry, including showcases, and then we also stream games for fun. So if any of that sounds good, go ahead and give me a follow at Don't Tread on Thee on Twitch. And then on YouTube, my handle is Gaming Garbage 22. So I did just wake up. Forgive the gravelly voice and whatever else you're hearing. but yeah, I want to make sure I get this done. Let's work on checking my audio real quick. Sounds perfect. Okay, let's dig right into it because I don't have a ton of time. So the Xbox Showcase. I gotta say, I enjoyed this one so much more than PlayStation's. Oh man, it was so nice. So again, we're going to be going through the games in order as they were shown in the showcase. I don't have every single game on here. Some I didn't think were worth showing. And then at the end, we're going to talk about my overall thoughts of the showcase. And some of the future focus of Xbox. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first, we were shown Fable. Now this is going to be like a reboot. And the devs are still wanting to hold true to what Fable is. What we know and love. We've already had 3 games for those of you that are young enough where you didn't play the other Fables. Yeah, this is going to be a total reboot, so everybody can kind of like engage with it and everything. And first we got to see the giant talking, which we didn't know he was the giant yet. We later got to see a woman much smaller, and this kind of reminded me of like Jack and the Beanstalk. And so no gameplay. And yeah, there is no date yet, not even a year. So this probably is going to be at least another 2 years out. But hey, a cool start to the franchise. Just a cinematic trailer, and yeah, hopefully they'll be doing pretty well with this. Next we saw South of Midnight. And so this was someone that we saw, a woman chatting with somebody, someone that looked dead. She knew them, and she was looking for a monster, she said, with knives, with teeth like knives. And the monster was rearing up behind her slowly, ominously. And this, again, was just a cinematic trailer to just kind of tell and intrigue a little bit of the story. And yeah, that was it. We didn't have really anything else. So this is South of Midnight. And this too does not have any type of release date. So probably at least a couple of years out. Next, we got to see one that looked really good. Again, this was just a cinematic trailer. Star Wars Outlaws. So the premise is that you're a woman, a rogue smuggler, and you bump into somebody that has a job, and you have history with this person. But yeah, this job would completely set your life apart and set it right where you could probably like retire. Like, you know, it's worth quite a bit of money. And this one had a release date of 2024. So sometime next year, hopefully. A lot of games do get delayed, so I kind of tentatively believe the dates now. I'm not sure if this would be Xbox only. But this game did look very open world. You get to move to different planets. There's different tasks. There are probably side quests too. And then there's also engagements in space. So we're pretty much taking like a Lego Skywalker saga and making it a realistic, more adult game. And I'm excited for that. I mean, Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga was such a fun game. Except for episode 7, 8, and 9. And, because, yeah, I was playing that, and I thought, oh my word, like, I don't even remember episode 7 hardly at all. And I rewatched episode 7, 8, 9, and yeah, they're horrible movies. But yeah, Star Wars Outlaws looked really good. This also had kind of like a Jedi Survivor kind of feel to it. The story, probably a lot of the gameplay. This will probably be third person. And yeah, it'd be like a just another type of story told the same way as like Jedi Survivor. So I'm kind of I am excited for this one. Outlaws did look pretty good. Next, we got to see 33 Immortals. This will be coming out in 2024. This was a 2.5D game where the character's in the center of the screen. And this game will be showing up on Xbox and on Game Pass. This looked like a dungeon crawler or like a raid game, or there's like different dungeons or areas to kind of work through. And you can have up to 33 people in co-op, which was impressive. And they started with 1, and then they did 3, I think, and then you saw 4, and then there was 8 of you, and then there was, like 24 of you, and then 33 of you. I mean, yeah, I think it's cool. They really pushed co-op, on this one. So, like, if you wanted to, you could really build a community around this. Just have a Discord server or some type of a club on Xbox, and just people that could and wanted to, you could just run through the game. Now, I don't know if this would be procedurally generated at all. There's not much we know about this. There was actual gameplay footage, which is nice. But yeah, 33 co-op. I mean, that's pretty cool for a dungeon crawler type of game. So, however many friends you have, or if you just have one, like some of us, I got Lion, so I'm a happy man. It's cool. There's just such a wide amount of people that you can engage with, and then it's all co-op too. And this is something else that I've talked about on the channel, is that there's such an emphasis on competition, and I've wanted to see more games that are cooperative, because we've had competition straight for almost 10 years now. Call of Duties and Fortnite and Apex Legends and PUBG and Valorant and whatever else is out there now. It's just competitive all the time. And I love games where all of the players can actually work together and enjoy the game. So yeah, that one actually looked kind of cool. Next, we got to see Payday 3. This was September 21st, 2023. This will be on Xbox and on Game Pass. And then this also was a gameplay trailer. So honestly, it looked pretty good. I've never played a Payday. We haven't had a Payday in a long time. Graphically, it looked fairly good. I wouldn't say it was great, but graphically it looked fairly good. It did look too that there was some vehicular mechanics. So I don't know if it's completely open world, or if it's more like a section of a city. Excuse me. But you can have 3 players. Or no, I think actually at one point we got to see 4. I'd have to watch it again. Very wide range of enemy types. I mean, there was at least, each one is more difficult or challenging than the next one. But yeah, I mean, we saw regular police, we saw SWAT, we saw military, we saw some type of like ninja thing, we saw basically juggernauts with riot shields, we saw different teams that were breaching into the building. It looked like there was a pretty wide variety And again, they just came in from anywhere. I mean, they either came in repelled through the windows, or they were coming in through the ceiling, or they breached through a hole in the wall, or through the basement. So that actually kind of looked fun. Gameplay and gunplay looked pretty good. Very Call of Duty feel with the gunplay. And yeah, that'll be September 21st, 2023, this year. Next, we saw Persona 3 Reloaded. This will be early 2024. And this will be on Xbox and Game Pass. So I don't know much about the Personas, so there's not much I can really talk to. But yeah, if you know Persona, leave a comment of what you think of Persona 3 is going to be. Yeah, I have never played a single game, so I really don't know anything about it. But I know that it's definitely got like a cult following for some people, and so that's why I wanted to add it into the showcase. But yeah, if you're excited for Persona 3 Reload, go ahead and let me know down in the comments and speak to the game a little bit. Next, we got to see Avowed. So this will be 2024. This also will be on Xbox and Game Pass. And this is made by Obsidian Studios. And so this also got to be a gameplay trailer. And we got to see very Skyrim-like combat. So there's melee, there's dual wielding, swords or battle axes, and then there's a host of magic. And then also like bows and arrows. And so yeah, very early medieval Dark Ages type of style. And it looks like it's just you, really. No co-op, no companions that I noticed or saw. And we've heard about Avowed for a while. But we finally got to see some gameplay this time. I want to say they talked about this last year at like Summer Game Fest. But yeah, we didn't have any real information. There wasn't any gameplay. It was just kind of the idea of what Obsidian was working on. Oh yeah, first person. So yeah, like I said, very, very Skyrim feel from this game. So it did look fairly fun. Graphically, it didn't look great. Again, I still think we're hitting the limitations of what developers want to put into games, like Payday 3 and Avowed. Yeah, they looked like they were stretched a little bit. No, I didn't notice any dropped frames or any like kind of glitchy animations. But yeah, these developers, I mean, they are pushing the bounds and the limitations of the hardware for these consoles. And it's gonna be difficult, I think, to get to that 60 frames per second. I would like to see 60 frames prioritized. Even running 60 frames on Elden Ring on my Series X, it's basically unplayable. What is it fun to explore? Sure, it's fun to explore. Or excuse me, not the frame rate, the graphics mode. So the resolution stepped up to like 4K. It's basically unplayable. And most people, now that they have a choice, they like to have the higher frame rate as much as they can, because in combat or in challenging areas or modes or gameplay, it really matters to be able to see it a little faster, to be able to notice things a little quicker. And but yeah, do I ever think we're going to get to a point where we have a consistent 60 frames in the gaming space? I think we're going to have to wait next generation. I think we're going to have to wait to a point where 4K is native. It's still not quite native yet. It's still not complete through the gaming space on PlayStation and on Xbox, and I would even say even on PC, because a lot of the PC ports are just, they don't work. They don't function well. So So yeah, some of the graphics and some of these gameplay trailers were a little bit of a letdown. But overall, yeah, Avowed still looked pretty good. Next, we got to see the expansion of Sea of Thieves, which is July 20th of this year. The Legend of Monkey Island. And it looks like we get 4-player now, not just 3. So I don't remember, actually, if we've had 4-player before. I think we've just had 3 players so far on Sea of Thieves. But yeah, it looks like 4-player. Or maybe you just have an NPC following you around for part of the story. Maybe that's it. But yeah, we got to see some of the island. We got to hear some of the legend. We got to meet some of the new characters in the game. Absolutely, there's going to be new cosmetics for the store or things to earn, I'm sure. And yeah, this will be out July 20th. And this too is free. If you already have the game, you can just hop on and as far as I understand, start playing right away. It's just going to be added. Rare is going to add it to the game. Let's see. Next, we got to see the new Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator, 2024, and they are adding a ton of stuff. So Microsoft Flight Simulator has been around since the 90s, and they really pushed it. They really pushed it for some stuff. And, but yeah, this one is a whole new level of different things, a wider variety of things and planes that you can do. And, yeah, this one looked really good. So and there was so much on here, I couldn't even write it all down. But we had search and rescue, we had construction, we had shipping, we had crop dusting, racing, we had a VIP service, we had low altitude training, which showed military aircraft in a canyon. We also got to see experimental aircraft, scientific research aircraft. So we got to see someone like flying toward like a hurricane and tornado, and then there was plenty more after that. So pretty incredible, just the amount of variety that they have in there. Hold on, folks. Alright, I'm back. So, yeah, really well done. Graphically looked amazing. I think this will probably be their biggest flight simulator project yet. And, yeah, just the variety of aircraft and areas and places where you can fly, different things you can do. Yeah, it was crazy. And this, too, was probably one of the longest gameplay trailers that we had in the entire showcase. They just kept showing more and more and more and more stuff. And I really think Microsoft Flight Simulator is wanting to get to a point where they can help train future pilots, whether helicopter or aircraft, for just the future world. Be able to give people a starting point where they can practice before they actually start going for their license and stuff like that. Because it is so expensive, folks. That's part of the issue. I know one of my brothers, he really wanted to fly. He knows how to fly, and he's got some certifications. But yeah, the cost is just so much money. And he's sunk a ton of money into flying aircraft. But he's still not quite past the little Cessnas. And yeah, part of it is just the cost. It's so hard to get started. You got to have so much dough. And then also the availability. So some people don't have a little airport nearby. they don't have the ability to do that or to practice or train, or there's not flight schools close by. We're lucky where I live. There's a couple of small little airports around here. But yeah, Flight Simulator, I feel like Xbox and Microsoft is really wanting to provide a type of avenue to get people started where they could at least learn the basics. They could practice the flight checks, and you can buy the entire console and joystick. I mean, you can put up the entire setup and shove it all around your monitor and actually practice flying, which is cool. So yeah, that really just feels like the push they're going for, is just creating the experience to try to actually train future pilots. So again, 2024, this will be on Xbox and Game Pass. Next, we got to see Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. This will be early 2024, and this will be just on Xbox, no Game Pass. And all we got to see too was just a cinematic trailer. We get to see one of the main characters lying on a beach, nude, just no idea where he is. Everybody is speaking English, and of course he's not, and he's just totally lost and not sure what's going on. And then we cut to the name, and that was the cinematic trailer. We also got to see a cinematic trailer for Hellblade 2. This is also 2024. This will also be on Xbox and on Game Pass. Hellblade 2 shows our character, kind of the voices around her, chatting about her anxiety and curiosity and fears as she's experiencing things. She's in this cave, and she knows that she is in the presence of something or a collective of someone. And I have not played Hellblade 1, but she's like very connected with like the dead world, like the spirits of the dead world, or demons too, possibly. And she's definitely deeply connected with kind of like the afterlife, or whatever you exactly want to call it. I hope I'm hitting the mark right, but that's what I got from the trailer. Overall, the story looked intriguing. And yeah, it's definitely picking up where the first Hellblade left off. And so this is just going to be a continuation of the character diving into whatever exactly she does. So, yeah, that'll be 2024. We also get to see an expansion for Fallout 76, Atlantic City. So this looked pretty large. There was gameplay, but it was from the previous expansions. So I wouldn't really count it as like a gameplay trailer, kind of almost. But we really didn't see very much of Atlantic City, and this too will be it now. Actually, it's on Game Pass, so you could play it right now. But yeah, another part. Yeah, honestly, it sounded and looked pretty big. And yeah, it was Fallout 76. Next, we got to see Forza Motorsport, the next iteration. So this will be October 10th, 2023. This will be on Xbox and on Game Pass. Again, if you know motorsports, they always kind of have the latest cars that you can drive. It's also seen as a racing driving simulator. And they got to chat with one of the devs. Actually, not one of the devs. Maybe it was one of the devs. But anyway, they got someone to chat about how they have they're featuring two of the newest hybrid cars in racing. This was a Cadillac and a Corvette. And what I liked about this is that they were hybrids. They weren't just straight EV vehicles. And I really enjoy hybrids because they can give you that instant acceleration. And you still have the power and mechanics of an engine of an internal combustion engine. And so the cost is actually a lot cheaper that way. Because these EV batteries, folks, I mean, they are not cheap. For a Tesla, they're north of $22,000. They're somewhere between $22,000 and $25,000 for one of the cars. And then if you're getting into, the Cybertruck, which that hasn't happened or materialized, if you're looking into what these semi-truck transporters are going to have, that hasn't materialized very well either. I think that is still on the field, but yeah, these are not mass-produced yet. There's definitely some issues. But the issue with the EV is the source material. And the source material is very expensive. It's not anywhere in the world. Some of these are quite difficult to find or becoming difficult to find. And realistically, there's not enough material to create the number of batteries that are needed for the level of EV cars that are required to be sold in first world countries like the United States, Great Britain, and the European Union. And there's not enough. So I mean, you need lithium and cobalt and a whole bunch of other names I can't even say of these different types of minerals. But yeah, these are called rare earth minerals. And the whole green story, I feel like, is a joke because we don't allow our own mining in a lot of the European Union and in the United States. Even though the materials are there, we don't allow it. And so part of the issue is a lot of the material is mined in Russia. Well, we're just not a part of them anymore on a international trade level. And then the other major producer, 86% of the source material for these minerals is in China. And that's because they can deal with the sludge. They're willing to deal with the toxicity of the waste and byproducts of mining for these materials. And, they don't have a permit system. So the whole thing of going green and it's better for the earth, dude, China is one of the worst clean producers of material in the world. All you have to do is take a look at a particulate map or a CO2 map or an emissions map, whatever they might call it. Microsoft has one on MSN Weather, and you can take a look and just scroll over to China, man, and it is an absolute mess compared to the rest of the world. I mean, China is just belching out that crap, and all we're doing is, instead of producing it ourselves, we're outsourcing it to China. This is where all of the Tesla batteries are coming from. This is where most of the EV market batteries are coming from. The cars are built and manufactured somewhere else in the world, but the battery is like 90% from China because they have the material, they mine it right there, and they can construct it. And it's not green. Also, to get rid of these batteries is very expensive. It's difficult. They're not ecological friendly, and that doesn't really work either. So, yeah. So, I mean, it was cool to see something on Forza, but, again, they were promoting their hybrid cars. And, just the EV space, in my opinion, is just a joke. It's not going to do what they've promised, ultimately. But the game did look pretty good. Yeah, again, another motorsport. Not really much else to add. There weren't any new games talked about. It was just the fact that, hey, we have some greener vehicles for the track, which, congratulations. Next, we got to see Elder Scrolls Necrom. This is June 20th. Shadow over Morrowind. This is a pretty large expansion. This is just going to be on Xbox, so you'll probably have to purchase it, of course. Which I forgot to look up what the purchase price is, but probably at least $30, $40 is my guess. And yeah, this is a little bit coming at the end of the month. Looked pretty good. seemed like to meet expectations. This was also a gameplay trailer, so they got to show some of the environments, some of the enemies and stuff, and yeah, it looked pretty good. Let's see. Next, we got to see Overwatch 2. So their future expansion is August 10th of this year. We got to see the expansion with a new game mode called Flashpoint. There's also a co-op event, and then we also got to see a new section they'll be adding called Hero Mastery. We're also going to be getting unique side quests for each hero, and but these won't be redoable. These hero quests, these specific ones, you'll only be able to do them once, as far as I understand. There are other quests that are going to be added to the game that where you can do them multiple times, or run them repeatedly. But yeah, these specific unique hero quests, there's going to be 1 to 2 missions per character. And hopefully it's for all of them. The bad news is PvE in its pretty much entirety was canceled. So there's nothing that's going to change with the gameplay. This is still going to be 4 versus 4 or 6 versus 6. And, I mean, it's Overwatch 1 with a 2 in front of it, adding some extra missions and some extra heroes. The reason they quit was because it was too difficult. I wonder, too, if it also wouldn't pull enough money. So we know that the bottom line for a lot of these bigger companies, like Activision Blizzard, is money. They're going to try to procure as much as they can, and they're going to try to use their time efficiently to build what will bring in the most. And so I just wonder if that was an issue for them, too, part of the decision. And in my opinion, this is just another broken live service game. The whole reason for the 2 in front of Overwatch 2 was the PvE, and now it's not even going to be there. They're saving some aspects of it, which I'm thankful for. But, yeah, who's going to want to play this? Honestly, I have no idea. And this, too, is free to play. And this will be on Xbox, but not Game Pass. Next, we got to see and take a look at Starfield. September 6th, 2023. This will be on Xbox and on Game Pass, which I was surprised it's going to be on Game Pass. But yeah, this looks flippin' excellent, folks. So there's over 1,000 worlds. Most of these will be procedurally generated, but there's quite a few areas too, quote, human colonies or faction areas that are handcrafted. So individual peoples that work at Bethesda designed and created these areas, like we all know from BioShock or from Fallout or from Elder Scrolls. Tons of NPCs. They are all over the place. So this will not be a Fallout 76, where it's empty, devoid of life. There are going to be plenty of NPCs in these handcrafted areas. There's also 2 different sections of space, civil space and uncivil. And civil has a lot of these very big, nice, grand areas or huge human colonies. And uncivil is going to be pretty hostile toward the character on a faction basis. So you're still going to run into these NPCs, which will be cool. But the wildlife too. So as you get out further past uncivilized or from civil space, the game's going to kick it up a notch. It sounds like it's going to be more difficult. But yeah, there are going to be over 1,000 different planets to explore. And one thing that is nice is that you'll be able to scan it before you land. So that way you'll be able to dictate if it's worth it or not to visit the planet or the moon or whatever it is. So yeah, Starfield looked super good. I do have a Starfield Direct that I watched. I got an entire page full of on Starfield Direct and what I saw in the game and what the devs talked about, and I will be sharing that later. But yeah, I'm super excited. Next, we got to see Jusant. I hope I'm saying that right, or Jusant. This is be fall 2023 through an indie developer. This will be on Xbox and Game Pass. This is a climbing exploration game. So it kind of reminded me of like Ream, or in a way, kind of like The Witness, except, in this game you actually have a little companion with you, like a pet. And then there's kind of different ways or to figure out how to climb or where to climb. So there was kind of like a whistling or like a kind of like a sonic area that allowed you to pull some things or show some things in the wall so you could climb it. But actually, it did look pretty good. This one intrigued me myself. So yeah, I'm excited to see a little more on this in the fall of this year. And you do have a home base. It's in the cliff face, and it did look like you get to expand it, kind of grow it a little bit, and then continue when you're ready to continue exploring the world. Next, we got to see Still Wakes the Deep. So you're on a oil rig. I don't know if it's abandoned or not. I don't remember. It kind of looked like it did. Not a lot of activity on this thing. This will be early 2024. And this will be on Xbox and Game Pass. This was a first-person horror game. So there is something on the rig with you. And it did look fairly scary. Again, it's all first-person, jump scares, not being able to see super good. Everything's dark. Because, the place basically looks abandoned. And there's physics in the game, too. So, bumping into a can, and if it falls and clinks around, the creature, or whatever the heck it is probably going to be hearing that in the game. So that actually looked fun. Next, we're looking at Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. So this is September 26, 2023. We got to see Keanu Reeves come out and talk about the game. And, he worked on being in character for his character in the game as well. And yeah, he got to talk about the expansion. So we know that it's going to take part in a new section of the city. And Space Force One has the president, and it's going to crash. And your role will be to basically rescue the president. So this will be a pretty large expansion. I also got to see Yang Ya's video on Phantom Liberty. And he got to talk about how he enjoyed the gameplay, how things actually flowed and moved pretty well. He got to try it at like a Play Games festival. And honestly, he enjoyed it quite a bit. He didn't get to the end, but he was pretty happy with how they designed it so far. It's $30, and so I'm sure we won't have to wait too long before it's actually on sale for like 20 or 25. So if 30 is a little steep for you, you could probably just wait a little bit. Next, we got to see Metaphor 2024. This very much looked like Persona. So this is actually from the creators of Persona. And so we're getting kind of another alternative story and world that's going to be explored through Metaphor. Next, we got Towerborn. This is also in 2024. So this will be you'll have a home base, which is a tower in the middle, and then this will be a block-by-block exploration game, kind of like the board game Catan. So you'll have these kind of like hexagonal sections that you'll explore, and then when you go into that hexagonal section, the game will transition to a side-scroller area where you'll be able to kind of move around and deal with enemies and probably eventually get to the end of the boss or be able to get to the next hexagonal square. So not quite open world. You're able to have up to 3 other players with you to adventure through the space. And then it's all pretty much a side-scroller. So not amazing graphics or anything. But yeah, it was interesting. And yeah, if you kind of wanted to see it as like a kind of like a mild dungeon crawler, yeah, you could probably see it that way. And we got to see the game space, and there's probably like 30 or 40 hexagonal squares out there. So the gameplay honestly looked pretty big. Lots to explore. Next, we got to see Clockwork Revolution. So we don't have a release date for this yet. We did get to see some gameplay, so that was good. This is a first-person shooter, story of a steampunk industrial age, where there is the ability to manipulate time. So this will also be on Xbox and Game Pass. This will be a campaign, single player it looks like. And this really looked like a cross between Wolfenstein and Dishonored. So you'll have some melee combat, you're going to have some like skills or abilities that you'll be able to work through. And then, of course, weapons. So like pistols and rifles and shotguns and that kind of thing. So yeah, the gameplay, it looked pretty interesting. And yeah, if you are curious about this one, I'm going to keep this one on my radar personally. Go ahead and take a look at the trailer of Clockwork. So it looked pretty good. At the end, Phil Spencer came out and got to talk about the new Xbox Series S, Carbon Black. And this will be $350 compared to $300 for the current Series X and S, And the only difference is that the Carbon Black edition is going to have a 1 terabyte solid state drive. I looked up the rest of the specs and nothing's changed. So all they're doing is swapping out the hard drive for you and adding $50 to the price. So overall, the showcase was so much more enjoyable. It was, excuse me, folks, dealing with allergies still. It was it was so nice. It was fun to sit through and watch. It was, again, about an hour long. And for a rating, I gave this one a B+, A-. And the reasons why is that there were so many more hard dates. So many actual, like, the day and the month, which was so nice to see that. There was so much more gameplay. Almost every single game, except for 5 or 6 of them. So Hellblade, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Fable, South of Midnight, and Star Wars Outlaws, everything else had a gameplay trailer. And some of them were all gameplay, which was great. I mean, that was so nice. When we saw Sony's, they didn't have that. So much of it was CGI. And they also didn't have hard dates either. And we got to remember, PlayStation Showcase was literally just like a couple weeks ago. So yeah, what a difference. There was, in the showcase, there were no shows. There were no movies. There were no ads for monitors or some subscription service. There were no ads for food or promoting DoorDash. There weren't ads, period. It was just showing games. And I noticed this about halfway through watching the showcase. I was watching this on YouTube. I forget exactly who I watched it through, but there weren't any ads even. Like YouTube ads. It was just straight showcase. And yeah, that was so nice. But yeah, there was no movies, no shows, and no ads for monitors and subscription services. And that was very heavy on Summerfest, which was disappointing. And there was a good flow to the showcase. There were higher quality indie games. Okay? Again, I keep bringing up Cat Quest and also Finji. Those were showcased. You know, those were actual gameplay trailers on PlayStation's showcase. But again, it's like nobody cares really about these games. Okay, why are these even a part of a showcase? Yeah, we got higher quality ones like Metaphor, Towerborn, Still Wakes the Deep, Jusant, and and 33 Immortals. I mean, those were so much better. All of those were better. All of them were worlds better. And it was so nice. There was a huge push for Game Pass. Again, almost every single game is going to be on Game Pass on this showcase. Some of the expansions won't. Okay? Like Phantom Liberty, Sea of Thieves, and whatever the other one was. Oh yeah, Necrom. So those won't, but I mean pretty much every single game. And then Fallout 76 Atlantic City, you're going to get that for free. And you can play it right now. But yeah, every game pretty much was on Game Pass or will be on Game Pass. We even saw too that Starfield, one of their biggest games, is going to be on Game Pass. Luckily, Redfall was on Game Pass. I think some people saved some money there by just waiting. And then we also know that Star Wars Outlaws is going to be on probably Game Pass. So yeah, the push for Game Pass was huge. And that's really what they're going for, folks. Phil said in an interview after Redfall, the Redfall incident, that he's not focused on consoles anymore. So we know that Xbox has sold about half as many as PlayStation has. But yeah, Phil said, look, we're not focused on hardware. And I honestly believe him after this showcase. He's focused on service. He is moving to... Oh, excuse me, folks. He's moving to a whole nother level of what the future of gaming is going to be, which is subscription-based. Again, you're not going to own the games. You're going to have access as long as you pay. And, you know, that's going to be the focus of the game. Or of the service. But yeah, such a push. Such a push. And I gotta say that Microsoft is winning on this one. And again, I think they've transitioned to what the future is going to be. They're leading the way on the future. So that, again, they have 70% of the cloud gaming market, which is a total of $1 billion a year. So they own 70% of that and control that. And then they also have Game Pass, which is the best subscription service you can get in gaming. I mean, I'm surprised even Steam hasn't done something like this. You know, we've seen light iterations through these companies where, you know, if you're on the service or whatever, you can get like a free game once a month, right? Or you can get these kind of deals and sales. But having a total subscription service is huge, because if you price it right, and especially now with games being $70 a piece, or there's early access to that are $80, $85, even $100, like Starfield will be. We'll get into that when we talk about Starfield Direct. I mean, basically, you get 2 games and it's paid for itself. And then you get all of these other games on top of it. There's already over 100 games on Game Pass right now. Now, I do have concerns about subscription service gaming, and it's because they get to control what stays on there, what doesn't, when it comes off, what version is on there. They get to control a lot of aspects. So, no, I don't like the aspect of subscription service besides actually owning the game outright myself. But we know it's going this way because you already can't own the disc, right? You already can't own the game on disc because not all of it fits on there. And they're not willing to make 2 or 3 discs to have the whole game. So you can have a full physical copy. So then it's pushing people toward digital. You know, I might as well just buy it online. Oh, there's a subscription service. I mean, this has all been planned, folks. I mean, Xbox Game Pass has been around since 2015. It's utilized through a blockchain, not NFTs, but it is on a blockchain. And so we've been using blockchain subscription service since 2015 for Microsoft. And Microsoft has said too that the biggest growth that they've seen for Game Pass is on PC. And they're designing a system so you can play on Xbox, your PC, or your mobile. I mean, they want to provide you however you want a game. Wherever you are, you're able to play. And I really think that is the future. I think other companies are going to have to eventually move away from the console. Maybe not entirely. But yeah, maybe in another couple generations or 3 generations. Again, this will take like a couple of decades probably to work its way through, but I really think that's what we're going to see. And we see that it already worked in the movie space, in the show space. We're seeing that too with movie theaters. We're seeing that in other types of media too. The shopping, like Amazon. We've seen that with music, with Apple already for over 10 years. And so yeah, subscription is the future, folks. Whether we like it or not, that's how it's going to be. And in some aspects, there's benefits, and there's disadvantages too, unfortunately. So, I mean, honestly, I'm not going to buy a physical version of Starfield because I don't think I'm going to resell it. It looked so good. I'm excited to share the showcase with you in a later stream. But, yeah, and 2 is going to be on Game Pass. And I already get all of these other games that are going to be showing up. Basically for free. I mean, I'm interested in Star Wars Outlaws, 33 Immortals, Payday 3, Avowed. Well, man, that sucks. I don't know where it cut off. So yeah, just let me reiterate this. I'll maybe be able to cut that out on YouTube. But yeah, let me reiterate this. So yeah, the future is going to be gaming. The future is going to be the subscription service. And Microsoft has already been working on this since 2015. Pretty much every single game in their showcase is going to be on an Xbox Game Pass. And they've said that it's not a console war anymore. They've moved to service. Whether it's through mobile gaming, whether it's PC or console. And they're just wanting to provide an avenue for the real revenue stream of subscription service. And we've already seen that this is already going the way for shopping like Amazon. We've already seen this too in movies and TV shows like Netflix. We've also seen this too with YouTube and Apple for music. I mean, subscription service is taken over by storm, and the gaming space is just the next iteration of that. And I think Microsoft is way ahead of the curve, because again, they've had Xbox Game Pass since 2015. And then their backwards compatibility is free. For Sony, you gotta pay for it. Which I think that kind of sucks. And I think Sony is eventually going to have to shift over to what Microsoft is doing, because I think the flat cash flow is going to be insane. It already has been. Microsoft is saying PC or Xbox Game Pass has grown the most on PC. And it's also their fastest growing sector right now in Microsoft. And they already know this model works because Microsoft, Windows operating system, that's subscription-based, and it has been for quite a long time. Their Microsoft Suite and other programs are also subscription-based. And then I think, too, the industry and the indie companies, they're learning that Game Pass has such a pull. And for the indie companies, it's guaranteed money. They say, hey, I'm not able to sell my game, but I can get on your platform and get promoted, maybe sell some if people like it. But yeah, part of the partnership is cash. It's like you get guaranteed cash, and as long as you're probably on Xbox Game Pass for the life cycle, you get paid. And if people keep playing your game, you get to stay on Xbox Game Pass, and you keep getting revenue. So yeah, the industry is already figuring this out, folks. and the partnerships with the indies, honestly, they've got to be pretty good. It's got to be a benefit to them, otherwise they wouldn't do it. It's probably not perfect, because Microsoft ultimately does have the pull and the power, because they control Game Pass, but they've been working with indie developers pretty well for quite some time. And indie developers know that Game Pass is a great space. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many on there. You know what I mean? So yeah, my whole rating for the showcase was a B plus, A minus. So many hard dates, so many gameplay trailers, and every freaking game. Let me look here. Yeah, every game. Yeah, that's crazy. Every game hadn't been shown before. So, I mean, I'm going through Ubisoft right now. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad so far. PlayStation, Summer Game Fest. I mean, we got to see repeats from previous showcases. The PlayStation got to really kick it off, which really didn't have much to show. Summer Game Fest was full of ads on top of repeats. Having the devs come out talking about their game was cool, which was nice. But I mean, Xbox had tons of games that have been never shown before. I mean, most of these were the world premiere. They had gameplay for pretty much every freaking game. They had hard dates. For a couple of them, they had someone come out, talk about the game, like Keanu Reeves and the, I think, developer for Forza Motorsports. I mean, and then they saved, and no ads and stuff. No ads taking up your time. And then they saved tech at the end. I mean, it was just so good. So anyway, those are my thoughts, folks. And I'll see you for Starfield Direct.